I'm your host, James Yoder, as Michigan beats Colorado State 51-7. It is the Michigan football post-game show from Chat Sports here on Saturday, September 3rd, 2022. Michigan defends their Big Ten title, starts the year with a win over Colorado State, 51-7. You see the stats there, some junk stats from Colorado State, but on the other side, Cade McNamara, 9 of 18, 136 yards, a touchdown. Blake Corum had himself a decent game. They didn't have to go to him too much, as did Donovan Edwards from the running game. And Roman Wilson, 61-yard touchdown catch and run on a screen, wide receiver screen with two wide receivers blocking early on, led the day for Michigan. But none of those guys were really the stories of the game, which we'll get to. So I have got 5 instant reactions that I want to talk about today as Michigan beats Colorado State 51-7. So that is the score. That is the scoreboard. Now we're going to kind of take it into what we think about this game. All right, so Michigan comes in this game favored by 30 points, 30 and a half. Over-under got up to around 60. And funny enough, which I'll talk to you guys here in a second, the line kept going up because I think that the betting community and the guys who make the lines understood that Michigan, this wasn't a game that they were just going to rest on their laurels. And it seemed pretty clear to me, at least, that Colorado State had too many questions for them to score a lot of points against Michigan. So let's get into my instant reactions here on today's shows. I've got 5 of them for you guys that I want to go to and talk about. But before we do, the questions I want to get from you guys down in the comments, I will pin this question down below the video. So just go ahead and reply to the pinned comment. It'll say right below there in the comments, what's your one-word reaction to Michigan's 51-7 win over Colorado State? For me, folks, my one word is JJ. If that's one word, I know it's 2 initials. My one word is JJ because what I saw from him, he just kind of has the it factor. So go down, comment your one-word reaction from today's 51-7 win. My first takeaway reaction, instant reaction to this game is Cade McNamara looked shaky, folks. I want to kind of talk about some of the key stats and things that I looked at as we look at his stats on the first 4 drives of the game, which for me were the most impactful. He got 6-7 drives all into the game, but 5 of 10, 102 yards on the day, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, although he should have had an interception. I think it was on the 3rd drive after that interception from Rod Moore where Michigan got inside of the red zone. So here are my kind of running notes on Cade McNamara. 3 and out, 0-2 passing early on, right? The second drive, he got that quarterback screen wide receiver screen to Roman Wilson that kind of padded his stats, right? 138 yards, but 61 of those were on 1 pass early on in the game. He looked awful inside the 15, inside of the 20, especially after that Rod Moore interception. And as we kind of go through my notes on Cade McNamara, all his short throws for the most part were either short, right, quick little slants or curls from a tight end or something like that, or he just kind of rolled out, didn't know where to go, and overthrew a wide receiver, just threw it out of bounds. No touchdown in the red zone in the first 5 drives for Cade McNamara. They got one in the 6th drive, but if you guys recall, that was a drive that Michigan ran the ball on every single play that was kind of coming out of the first quarter into the, was that second quarter? I can't remember. I'm confusing my drives potentially. That might have been the one right before the second quarter. But nevertheless, the second touchdown drive where Michigan kind of blew it open and got up to 20-0. Yeah, that was right before halftime. No passing from Cade McNamara at all. A couple stats before we go on. Stick with me here, producer Jack, the best in the business behind the screen. Michigan was 7 of 7 on red zone attempts from a scoring perspective today. But Cade McNamara was 1 for 4 or 0 for 4 early on with his red zone attempts, with getting the ball in the end zone. So not necessarily a great performance from Cade McNamara from that perspective. One other stat that I want to throw out there. Michigan was only 4 of 10 on offense on third down conversions. I believe they were 1 in 6 at halftime with Cade McNamara taking all those snaps in the first half except for 1. So all in, I'm kind of down on Cade's performance, and we'll talk about J.J. McCarthy here in a second. But if you watch the show, folks, all week long, I told you that Michigan's 15.5-point spread, which actually got up to 19.5 by this morning, so I hope if you did bet it, you didn't wait too long. Either way, you won. but you took it when it was 15.5, or even earlier last week, it was actually like 12. I said it was the lock of the year, of the century, of the day for me. I talked to a player of a couple parents. They said Michigan is not going to hold back. They're going to give Cade McNamara the opportunity to show he's the starting quarterback. J.J. McCarthy will get the opportunity in the second half or in the second game. So hope you covered it. I put some big-time cash on it. Believe me on that one. So hope you guys did too. And where I did it was with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Promo code GoBlue allowed me to get 125% deposit bonus. So have I lost this bet? I wasn't losing all my money on just one big bet with BetUS on Michigan minus 15.5. I put all my picks on Saturday morning on Twitter, so make sure you're following me at James Yoder, folks. But get going with BetUS. Chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use that promo code GoBlue to get signed up and make your first deposit with a 125% deposit bonus with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. I'm 1 for 1 on my game, my lock of the century, of the year, of the week. So keep watching the show and make your bets with BetUS. Look, there's no other way to say it. I was saying all last year into the offseason, into this fall camp, that Michigan had to give Cade McNamara, Big Ten championship quarterback, the opportunity to keep his job, to keep his starting job, to make sure the locker room doesn't have any issues or anything like that, because he led Michigan to a win over Ohio State. He led Michigan to a Big Ten championship, college football playoff berth. But, folks, J.J. McCarthy just has the it factor. He looks like something we haven't seen, honestly, since Drew Henson back 22 years ago with this Michigan football program. Can pass, can run. His stats rushing, where he made a really hell of an impact today. 3 carries, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. And then he was nothing to sneeze at from a passing perspective either, was J.J. McCarthy. 4 of 4 passing for 30 yards. Every play he made, running or passing, looked like he was a All-American 5-star level quarterback. J.J. McCarthy, folks, he has the it factor, no doubt about it. And I want to see what happens next week before I go all in on JJ's the guy, it's JJ's team, all that different stuff. I was a little smart ass on it on Twitter, saying it's JJ's team if you follow me there. But he still was coming in probably, when the game wasn't in doubt, which was the case a lot of times last year outside that Michigan State game where he didn't perform. But it's so obvious he's a superior talent. He can run. He can pass. I don't know how to explain it. Producer Jack, you don't have to jump on the mic, but would you give me the thought that McCarthy looks like a better quarterback, just like physically appearance? He kind of fits the bill. He's got that quarterback swagger. Like, Cade McNamara kind of looks like your fraternity quarterback, and Cade McNamara or J.J. McCarthy looks, like Trevor Lawrence. He's just like, who the hell is that guy? And every time he steps on the field, Producer Jack says, undeniably, J.J. McCarthy has the look. So I'm going to ask you guys, we know that J.J. is starting next week versus Hawaii, but let's hear where this fan base is going, where you're thinking, where you're leaning. Who starts the third game 2 weeks from today versus UConn? If it's Cade McNamara, go ahead and give me a CM down in the comments. If it's J.J. McCarthy, we'll stick to J.J. So comment CM or J.J. I'm going to go with J.J., but I'm going to make that decision, obviously, after we see the first half or first 2 quarters or 3 quarters against Hawaii next week. Defensive line sure didn't seem to skip a beat, right? Plenty of sacks on the day, plenty of quarterback hurries, and there were a lot of players that looked good. Mike Morris looked really good. Braden McGregor looked very good. Mazi Smith clearly didn't make, a ton of plays, but that's not really his role. He's not there to get the sacks like a job or anything last year. He is there to disrupt the center of that offensive line, make sure they double team him from time to time. I'll talk more about the defensive line and the defense in total in a second, but want to remind you guys to subscribe. We are the fastest post-game show with graphics and everything. Anybody could jump on with a camera and no graphics or any preparation. We prepare and we are ready to go. Producer Jack, myself, James Yoder, the Michigan Football Report, sub on YouTube for the only daily original Michigan football show. YouTube.com/Michigan TV. If you've watched before and you haven't subbed, now's the time. If you have, send it to a friend. If you're the first time watching, I think you'll like what we have. A lot of content, and we always break it down with no spin, no lies, no BS. We give it to you straight how we're feeling and how we think that the Michigan fan base is feeling as well. Let's take a look at the stats. We're talking about the defensive line, so we'll take about the offensive stats because Michigan on offense, we know what they did, 440 yards, pretty even run versus pass. But Colorado State only put up 7 points. Late in the game, a deep pass where they kind of just dropped the ball right over the defensive back into the receiver's hands. But for the air raid offense, only to have 137 passing yards in the game, only 82 yards rushing, I think is a good sign. Now, the Colorado State quarterback was 16 of 20, so he certainly completed a lot, high percentage, 80% of his passes. But where Michigan made a difference in the game was they were all over that quarterback. 11 tackles for loss for the Michigan, cost Colorado State 56 yards of negative. Had one quarterback hurry and then 7 sacks for that Michigan defense, most of that coming from, obviously, the defensive line. I like what I saw. We won't talk much about the linebackers today, but really liked what I saw out of Junior Colson. Thought Jalen Harrell had a heck of a game. Thought some others. I just want to kind of look back at my notes here. I mentioned Braden McGregor. How about Anami Adoba, if I'm even pronouncing his name right at this point, the 5-star transfer? He had a sack early on, a lot of great plays. Michigan's got 8, 9, 10 guys in that outside linebacker or that inside defensive line that can be disruptors in the pass rush, and I am certainly excited to see if that's a one-game anomaly or if this is just the new for the Michigan defense under first-year coordinator Jesse Minter. Give me your one-word reaction. Who was the player of the game on defense for Michigan? I don't know if I can give my mind yet because I want to go back and watch the game one more time. I think I was more focused on the offense today and then just the overall strategy of the defense. I really didn't get a chance to key in on every single player from time to time or go back and review plays after they happen like I normally do because we're trying to get the show out to you so fast. So check back with us Tuesday. I'll have a deeper dive Tuesday, Wednesday on the performance of the defense. But I want to know from you guys, who was the player of the game for you on defense? How about that running game? How about that offensive line? Ryan Hayes, the starting left tackle, did not get the start. So 6-man starter on that defensive line. Carson Barnhart, offensive line, got the start for him. And, folks, the running game had a couple hiccups early on, but once Michigan needed it, especially that one touchdown drive before the half, all rushes, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, even later on in the game, you had some of the backups get in there and make some plays. Corum, 76 yards and rushing on the day. Donovan Edwards, 64. But you had C.J. Stokes, A.J. Heading had one reverse. Taviar Dunlap had a carry. Alex Orji had a carry and a touchdown for the day. So the Michigan running game with that offensive line protected the quarterback and obviously got some push on the running game. 13 carries for 76 for Blake Corum, 12 for 64 for Donovan Edwards. They reminded me almost identical last year to what we had from Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum. Not as hard-nosed running as Haskins, but both those guys prove that they can run between the tackles and even between the guards right up the middle for Jim Harbaugh's squad. My last instant reaction, folks, is next Saturday is a very pivotal moment for this team, for this program, for both these quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy has the opportunity to seize the job if he can go out there, make all the throws like he did in limited opportunity today, 4-4, and show that the playmaking ability that I think Jim Harbaugh is looking for to be able to have a realistic chance against an Georgia or an Alabama or a team like that Michigan clearly hasn't been able to win against in quite a long time at this point. So I think JJ needs to get the entire game, at least the first 2 quarters into the third quarter, like Cade McNamara did, and let him pass the ball. The biggest, complaint I have from this offensive game plan, Cade McNamara wasn't balling out in any regards, but they only let him throw the ball 18 times, which I think was doing him a disservice because he didn't get the chance to prove that he's got the arm. Right? He kind of only got the chance to prove that he didn't have the offensive, playmaking ability and passing ability that Michigan needs to go undefeated or go 11-0 into Columbus, whatever it is, make the college football playoff, and at least have a chance to get a win. Because last year versus Georgia, after those first 2 drives, it was clear that Michigan just wasn't on the same playing field from a talent perspective as Georgia. J.J. McCarthy, I think, gives them the opportunity to at least compete coming up this December into January should they make the college football playoff again. If you haven't yet, folks, follow me on Twitter. It's at James Yoder. I am tweeting all game long. I put out, 5, 6, 7 highlights of the touchdowns and turnovers and such, and I'm giving my commentary throughout the game. So if you want to kind of feel what I'm thinking while the games are going on, next Saturday I'll be at the stadium, so I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi works or not. If it works, make sure I'll be on Twitter all day. I'm going to do a remote car or hotel room post-game show next Saturday. But follow me on Twitter. I'll be putting out my thoughts on this team, on this program, all week long, every single day from now to the end of the season. All right, we will be back on Sunday with our Michigan football overreaction Sunday, and then I've got some Michigan football grades coming up for you on Monday. Stick with us. Make sure you subscribe. Until then, folks, go Blue.